When Robert won $9.4 million in the state lottery, the first thing he bought was not a mansion. It was silence. He turned off his phone, sat in his truck outside the gas station where he had bought the ticket, and listened to the engine idle like his old life was still running underneath him. For 26 years, Robert had worked as a night shift supervisor at a grocery distribution center in Pennsylvania. His life was not glamorous, but it had a rhythm. Clock in, check inventory, handle mistakes, pay the mortgage, fix the furnace, help his daughter with community college when he could. Then the money arrived, and people around him used words like blessed, lucky, set for life, and free. But nobody asked what happens to a man when the daily pressure that shaped his identity disappears before he knows what to replace it with. If you like calm, honest finance storytelling with real examples, real numbers, and no hype, subscribe to the channel before we go deeper, because sudden wealth does not only test your bank account. It tests the person who has to wake up inside the new life. Robert thought his biggest challenge would be protecting the money from strangers. He was wrong. The first danger came from people he loved, and from the version of himself that wanted to prove he had not forgotten where he came from. He paid off his daughter's loans. He gave his brother $75,000 to clear old debt. He bought his wife the kitchen she had wanted for 15 years. He donated to the local church. Every decision felt decent, human, and easy to defend. That is what makes sudden wealth difficult. The early mistakes do not always look like mistakes. They look like kindness. They look like relief. They look like finally being able to say yes after decades of saying, maybe next month. But money management changes when yes becomes too easy. Before the lottery, Robert's paycheck created limits. After the lottery, he had to create those limits himself, and he had never practiced that skill with millions behind every decision. By the end of the first year, the money was still there, but the peace was not. His phone rang constantly. His brother needed more help. His daughter felt guilty. His wife felt watched. And Robert felt like every relationship had quietly been moved onto a financial scale. The lottery did not ruin him in one dramatic scene. It changed the weight of ordinary conversations until even love started sounding like a request. Robert's brother was the first person to make him feel rich and guilty at the same time. He did not ask for a sports car or a vacation. He asked for help getting out from under years of bad credit, missed payments, and a business idea that always seemed one good month away from working. Robert wrote the check because he remembered being the older brother who could not help. He remembered watching family members struggle and feeling useless. Now he could finally do something, and that feeling was powerful. But help changed the relationship. His brother stopped calling just to talk. The calls had a shape now, a problem, a pause, a reminder of family, and then a number. Robert began to hate the sound of his own phone, then felt ashamed for hating it. This is where sudden wealth does something cruel. It makes generosity visible, measurable, and debatable. Before the lottery, Robert could love people without proving it financially. After the lottery, every no sounded different. People think money gives you more privacy, but sudden money often steals privacy first. Everyone wants to know what you bought, what you gave, who you helped, why you helped them, and why someone else got more. Robert's wife noticed it before he did. She said the house felt like a customer service desk. People came in with needs, complaints, explanations, and expectations, and Robert sat there trying to keep everyone calm. That is the part finance tips rarely prepare you for. A budget can track spending, but it cannot tell you what to do when your niece cries at the kitchen table, or when your old friend says you changed, or when your family treats a boundary like an insult. By month 10, Robert had started lying, not about huge things. Small things. He said the money was tied up. He said his advisor told him not to. He said taxes were worse than expected. He used excuses because he did not yet know how to say a clean no. Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave the free checklist there so you can review the boundaries and money questions that matter before a windfall turns your relationships into financial negotiations. The next problem came from Robert himself, because once he had helped everyone else, he started wondering why his own life still felt so ordinary. Robert's own spending started with a feeling he had never been able to afford before. He wanted his life to look like the struggle had finally ended. Not flashy, just undeniable. He replaced the old pickup. Then he bought a camper because his wife had always talked about seeing the national parks. Then came the backyard renovation, the finished basement, the new furniture, and a second property near a lake 2 hours away. Every purchase had a story. The truck was deserved, the camper was for memories, the basement was for family, the lake place was an investment. That is how lifestyle inflation becomes hard to catch. It does not enter the house as greed, it enters as meaning. But meaning still has maintenance costs: insurance, property tax, repairs, utilities, storage, registration, fuel, furniture, and the quiet pressure to use the things you bought so they feel justified. Robert used to know exactly what his life cost. After the lottery, he stopped knowing. Not because he could not do math, but because the number was large enough to hide the leak. This is one of the most dangerous parts of sudden wealth. When the account is huge, small mistakes do not give immediate feedback. A person can live above their sustainable level for years and still feel safe because the balance has not screamed yet. Then taxes came in higher than he expected. The lake property needed roof work. His brother's business needed another rescue. His daughter asked whether he could help with a down payment because houses were getting so expensive. Here is the psychological trap. Robert had spent his life feeling limited, so every limit he placed on himself after the lottery felt like going backward. Saying no to a purchase felt like returning to the old paycheck life. Saying no to family felt like becoming cold. He knew something was wrong before he admitted it. He felt it in the way he avoided opening statements, the way he got irritated when people asked normal questions, the way he missed the boring clarity of his old routine. The money had not disappeared, but Robert had lost the feeling of control. And for a man who thought millions would finally make him secure, that loss felt almost impossible to explain. Think about Robert's money like a large water tank placed in the middle of a town after a drought. At first, everyone is grateful it exists. Then people start assuming it should solve every dry well nearby. Robert was not selfish for wanting to protect it. He was learning that if a resource has no rules, it becomes everyone's backup plan. And when your money becomes everyone's backup plan, your piece disappears first. The turning point came when his wife asked him one simple question. If we had never won, would this person still be asking us for help, or would they be forced to build a real plan? That question changed something in him. He realized he had been confusing help with rescue. Help can make someone stronger. Rescue can make them dependent on your fear of disappointing them. So Robert did something that felt almost rude at first. He created a written giving limit, a real number, a yearly amount. Once that money was used, no more emergency loans, no more quiet checks, no more guilt decisions made at the kitchen table. Some people were offended. That hurt. But it also revealed which relationships had quietly started treating his lottery win like a shared bank account. He also met with a tax professional and a fiduciary advisor who forced him to look at the full picture, not the headline number, not the fantasy number, the real number after taxes, lifestyle costs, giving, inflation, investment risk, and decades of future living. For the first time since the win, Robert saw that being set for life was not automatic. It was something he had to protect with boring decisions, boring paperwork, and boring boundaries that did not care how emotional the moment felt. Comment checklist below if you want the free checklist. I'll pin it in the comments so you can review the questions that help protect cash flow, family boundaries, and long-term money before sudden wealth becomes everyone else's solution. The first practical lesson is to stop making permanent decisions during temporary emotions. Do not buy the lake house because you feel free. Do not lend money because you feel guilty. Do not upgrade the lifestyle because you feel watched. Second, build a real monthly cost map. Robert listed every fixed expense, every property cost, every insurance bill, every tax estimate, every gift, every repair, and every subscription until the fantasy number became a real-life number. Third, separate helping from funding. He could pay for a financial counseling session, help someone create a budget, or match savings for a specific goal, but he would no longer write checks that rewarded confusion and then call it love. Fourth, keep work in some form. Robert did not need the night shift anymore, but he started volunteering with a local trade program and helping young workers build careers. It gave him a reason to leave the house that had nothing to do with being rich. Fifth, make the money quiet. No public explanations, no proving, no defending, no turning every family conversation into a financial report. The less the money became a performance, the more Robert could feel like a person again. Slowly, the lottery became less of a bright explosion and more of a tool. It paid for safety, it created options, it helped people in controlled ways, but it no longer had permission to answer every emotional knock at the door. The big reveal is that sudden wealth does not destroy people because they are weak. It destroys people when the money grows faster than their boundaries. A fortune without rules is just pressure wearing expensive clothes. So ask yourself this: if the money arrived tomorrow, would you know what to protect first? Or would you start saying yes because every no felt like a betrayal of where you came from? Comment checklist below and check the pinned comment. I'll leave the free checklist there so you can review the cash flow rules, giving limits, and quiet money decisions that matter before sudden wealth starts making choices for you. Robert thought the lottery had made him free, but real freedom began the day he stopped letting the money prove his love, his worth, and his right to live peacefully.